Let's go ahead and log into the VMware vSphere web client. Let's expand London. Notice that our host here has the red mark showing that it's disconnected. In order to connect it, right mouse click on it, select connection and connect. Confirm the connection. And our host is being reconnected as we speak. You can see it down here under the recent task, 80%. And the reconnection is complete. So you notice the London data center only contains one host, PLAB ESX01. So in order to add the second host, we will right mouse click on the London data center, select add host, name the second host PLAB ESX02 and click next. Go ahead and enter the username and password. Click next. We get a security alert here and we're going to verify adding a new certificate. Click next. Review the host summary page and click next. On the assign license page, we'll keep the defaults and click next. Lockdown mode, keep the defaults and click next. On the VM location page, we'll keep the default where London selected and click next. And finish. So if you look on the bottom here, it's working on the task of adding the second host. Alright, I had to click refresh so that my second host can appear. That was over here. And notice that we now have PLAB ESX02 that's appeared and it's disconnected. To create our cluster, we will right mouse click on the London and select new cluster. We'll name our new cluster simply PLAB. Select turn on DRS. We'll keep the DRS defaults and we'll select turn on HA. Notice that host monitoring and admission are enabled by default. In the VM monitoring section, notice that VM monitoring status is disabled by default. Let's go ahead and enable it on the drop down to VM monitoring only and click on OK. So back on hosts and clusters, notice that PLAB is now listed under the London node. So notice that PLAB ESX01 and ESX02 is listed on the same level as PLAB. This says that PLAB does not have any host. Let's go ahead and right mouse click on PLAB and select moved hosts into cluster. Let's go ahead and select PLAB ESX02 and 01 and click OK. We'll stick with the defaults here and click OK. right mouse click on PLAB, go down to settings. Notice that the settings is highlighted inside of the Manage tab of PLAB. So under the Services section, let's click on vSphere DRS. You could click the Schedule DRS to reconfigure the DRS settings on the cluster. Let's cancel out of this. Next, let's click on vSphere HA. These are the HA settings, and you can click on Edit in order to make changes if necessary. Let's go ahead and cancel out of this. Let's go ahead and navigate to PLAB ESX01. Click on the Manage tab. Click on Networking. Notice the virtual switch is displayed by default. On the Features menu on the left, let's click on VM Kernel Adapters. Let's go ahead and select on the kernel adapter VMKO. And the properties are displayed down here. You can also verify the physical adapters by selecting Physical Adapter. And here we have 4 of them. And each one we select, the properties are displayed below. We could adjust these in order to get a better view. Let's go ahead and minimize the web client, and we're going to log into the VMware vSphere client. Let's go ahead and click on Host and Clusters. Expand PLAB. Ensure that PLAB ESX01 and ESX02 are in a connected state. Let's go ahead and power on the Win Server VM by right mouse clicking, Power, and Power On. I'm going to go ahead and power on the Win client as well. Right mouse click and Power On. So if you take a look at the bottom under our recent task, you can see the Win server is still in the process of powering on, and so is the Win client. Notice we have the red mark on our Win server VM. Let's click on Summary to see what it is. Alright, so it's indicating that the VMware tools is not running or not installed. Our Windows Client VM has the green arrow indicating that it's good to go. Let's go ahead and select PLAB. Click on Summary. Notice under the General tab, vSphere DRS and vSphere HA are both on. If we take a look under vSphere DRS, the current host load standard deviation is 1, so it's saying the load is imbalanced. Let's go ahead and click on View Resource Distribution Chart. If we click the green bar on PLAB ESX01, we get a pop-out showing us detailed CPU statistics. Let's click on Memory. Again, it's showing us PLAB ESX01 is taking a considerably higher amount of memory than O2. And if we click on the bar, it's going to show us detailed usage of the memory. So let's try clicking on Refresh Chart to see what happens. So the memory utilization has now decreased. Let's go ahead and close out of this. On the left pane, ensure that you have PLAB selected. Then on the right pane, navigate over to the Maps tab and click that. On the Overview tab, you can change the size of the diagram by clicking on the different sizing options. Notice on the virtual machine resources, host to VM is checked by default. To view a different map, you can uncheck host to VM and check host to network, then apply the relationships. Let's try host to data store and deselect host to network. You can also view all the relationships at once by selecting host to VM, network, and data store and apply those relationships. Let's go ahead and select PLAB ESX01, then click on the Configuration tab. Let's navigate to the Hardware section and click on Networking. On the right hand side, this is our network configuration. Let's click on Add Networking. Let's select VM kernel. So the VM kernel TCP/IP stack handles traffic for the following ESXi services: vSphere, vMotion, iSCSI, NFS, and host management. Go ahead and click Next. We want to make sure Create vSphere Standard Switch is selected, and it is. Go ahead and click Next. On the connections setup, we're going to select Use this port group for vMotion and use this port group for fault tolerance logging. Then click Next. We'll go ahead and agree with this warning here. And we'll enter our IP address information. And click Next. And finally finish. And there you have it, our new VM kernel. We'll go ahead and add a VM kernel port for PLAB ESX02 as well. And there you have it, our new VM kernel port for PLAB ESX02. Let's navigate back to PLAB ESX01, and it brought us back to the Configuration tab. Under Hardware, let's select Storage. Notice the data stores are displayed by default, so we have data store 1 and VMFS 3 volume. To configure our shared storage, let's click on Add Storage. We could leave the default selection of disk/LUN, create a data store on a fiber channel, iSCSI, or local SCSI disk, or mount an existing VMS volume. Go ahead and click Next. Here we'll select FreeBSD iSCSI disk and click Next. Review the information here, and the wizard states that a partition will be created and used. Let's go ahead and click Next. On the Properties page, we'll name our new data store PLAB Shared. Click Next. On the formatting page, we'll leave the default of maximum available page space and click Next and finish. So now you see in our group of data stores, PLAB shared is. Let's go ahead and click on PLAB ESX02. We're already in the configuration tab and inside of hardware and storages. Actually, let's make our way to hardware and storage adapters. Notice that our adapter ending in 0 and 32 are labeled as black SCSI, while our adapter ending in 1 is labeled as SCSI. So to configure iSCSI, we'll go to the top here and click on Add. Add Software iSCSI Adapter, click OK. Click OK again. Notice that our newly created adapter ending in 33 is an iSCSI type. Let's go ahead and right mouse click on VM HBA33, select Properties, select Dynamic Discovery, click on Add, and our iSCSI server's IP address is going to be 192.168.0.6, and we'll keep our default port of 3260. Go ahead and click OK. And we'll close out of this. Let's go ahead and click Yes to rescan the adapter. Let's go back to the hardware section and select storage. And notice that PLAB shared is listed as one of the data stores connected to PLAB ESX02. Let's go ahead and select PLAB ESX01. To make the host HA ready, right mouse click ESX01. Go down to Reconfigure vSphere HA and click it. This forces an HA election. So down on the recent task, you can see that it's working here. We're about 62% done. And we'll go ahead and repeat those steps for PLAB ESX02. Right mouse click it and select Reconfigure for vSphere HA. Let's go ahead and right mouse click on Win Server and select Fault Tolerance. Turn on Fault Tolerance. Go ahead and agree to this. So under the recent task, you can see fault tolerance is at 28% of configuration. Let's go ahead and select the Win client and select the Summary tab. Couple things to notice here on the Summary tab. Under General, notice that the state of the Win client VM is powered off. And under Resources Storage, notice that Win client is associated with Data Store 1. So with it powered off, let's right mouse click on Win client and select Migrate. We're going to select Change Data Store, move the virtual machine storage to another data store. Next. Let's select Thin Provision on the drop down here on select a virtual disk format and select PLAB shared as our new data store and click next and finish. Under recent task, you see that it's working. You see it's still data store 1 listed here, and the wizard's about 37% complete. Alright, so the task is complete, and as you can see, WinClient is now associated to the PLAB shared storage. Let's go ahead and power on WinClient. Right mouse click, power, then power on. Green arrow indicates that it is powered on. Let's go ahead and right mouse click WinClient and select Migrate. We're going to leave the default here, change host, move the virtual machine to another host, then click Next. Let's expand this tree, and on the destination we're going to select PLAB ESX02, then click Next. We'll do this with a high priority. So high priority vMotions are favored over standard priority vMotions and are expected to perform better. And finish. Now if we take a look at the summary for the WinClient, under General, we notice that the host is PLAB ESX02. Let's go ahead and click on the Console tab. And here you see the WinClient console is displayed. And if we go back to the Summary tab, you can still see that WinClient is indeed powered on. To test our high availability, we're going to reboot our PLAB ESX02 host. So right mouse click, select reboot. Go ahead and confirm it. So our host reboot is complete, and you'll notice that PLAB ESX02 and WinClient went into disconnected state. WinClient just came back online, and if you go down to the general section, it shows you that WinClient is now hosted on PLAB ESX01. So this confirms that our migration of the VM was successful. So we could do this vice versa by going to PLAB ESX01, right mouse click on it and select shutdown. We'll go ahead and confirm it. And over here I'll just put in a note saying migration test. Go ahead and hit OK. And then WinClient is going to revert back to PLAB ESX02. So PLAB 01 is now shut down. WinClient is now disconnected, and it should migrate over to PLAB ESX02 momentarily. WinClient is back online, and if we go into General underneath Hosts, WinClient is now hosted on PLAB ESX02. Be sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. And thank you for watching.